on the future of mobility, the panelists close to stage. Set of panelists, just a quick reminder, all speaker profiles are available in the e-handbook. You can download it using the QR code available around the venue. And the next session is on the future of mobility. This session is powered by MG Motors. A big thank you to them for their support. Thank you. May I now call upon first Fabian Sempf, head of the India Automotive Practice at ADL India, to come chair the session. Joining Fabian will be his fellow panelists. As I call out your name, I request you to come up. Punit Goyal, co-founder and chief fundraiser for BluSmart. Aravind Sanka, co-founder of Rapido. Friend Kunal, Khattar, founding partner at AdvantEdge Founders, who's been backing mobility startups for a while. Priya Singh, who's co-founder and director of Chalo. And Gaurav Gupta, senior VP and chief commercial officer at MG Motors. Over to you, Fabian.
Thank you for being here and hoping to give you a very interesting discussion today around the future of mobility. And just to start things off, I kind of looked up a few details for background. So for example, on Indian roads right now, there are 300 million cars registered that are driving back and forth on Indian roads every day. And there's actually a very interesting study done by TomTom every year that looks into how traffic congestion looks like. And Bangalore is actually the second worst city in the world in that respect. To travel 10 kilometers in Bangalore on average, you need 29 minutes, which is quite a long time. You could almost use other means of delivery in that space. In Delhi here it's a little bit better. We can cover 10 kilometers in 22 minutes. However, when you look into one of the very best cities on that list, into San Diego, there it's just 9 minutes. In 9 minutes you can cover 10 kilometers. So certainly there is a huge potential kind of to improve things in general in mobility. There are a lot of ideas, I think, actually independent of how old you are. All of us have been promised there will be flying cars when we were young. So that all of us grew up with that idea. Let's see whether this is going to happen at some point. But I feel a little bit like we do have a few other things that we need to push forward. And I'm really happy today to have like 3 startup founders which are actively working on the topic, and also kind of the investment side of things and the OEM side of things here on the panel to have a discussion around the topic. And for that, I would actually love to just ask you to give a very brief introduction of yourself and kind of, if you can, in one sentence, describe what is for you the future of mobility. How does the future of mobility look like? Maybe just kind of going sitting on there.
Thank you, Fabian. My name is Punit Goyal. I think the future of mobility is electric and electrifying. I'm the founder co-founder of BluSmart. We are a fully electric ride-hailing service. We operate in Delhi-NCR in Bangalore right now. We're also going to start operations in Mumbai soon. We're also an energy infra company. We're building large-scale EV charging infrastructure and trying to contribute towards decarbonizing mobility in India.
Hi, I'm Aravind. I'm co-founder of Rapido. We are a ride-sharing platform. We aggregate 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers. We started with the vision of not having an empty seats on the road. We want to make sure that traffic can be decongested by having smaller vehicles and also eliminating the empty seats on the road. I believe as the population is growing and as the cities are becoming more and more populated, one of the major things that we have to solve is for congestion. There are multiple ways, but we also believe one of the things, it has to also need to be efficient, because people are looking for experience, people are looking for affordability. So we fall under, we solve the same transportation efficiency by also being affordable. I think that's more about what we do and why we believe either vehicle sharing or ride sharing can reduce congestion on the road.
Hi, good evening. Kunal, Khattar. I run a fund called AdvantEdge. We're actually a very specific, focused fund. We focus a lot on mobility. We've been investing for 7 years. Now we're proud to say that we partnered with 12 category leaders in our portfolio, 2 of whom are actually sitting on this platform. So it's a pleasure to be here, and they're the ones who make us look smart. So future of mobility, actually, we've realized that if you're building solutions for India, you can't have bring something that's worked in the West here. So everything that we are working on is very India-centric. So I would say yes, absolutely, the future of mobility is electric, but I think it's affordable, green, shared mobility solutions is what will solve for the kind of problems that we have, because without scale and without shared mobility, and of course environment being a key thing, which means the transition from ICE to EV has to happen fast, but we have to have affordable solutions so that the average Indian can commute to work and back. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Priya. We are building a company called Chalo. While building Carwale was our first venture. We realized that cars are not the answer. And then we started thinking that what is next in the mobility business, as we all love wheels. And we thought that we should solve the intra-city problem, because when you see the mobility, you can see that the entire intercity, interstate, international, everything is solved, right? You have planes, you have accessibility, you have online ticketing, everything. But when it comes to within the city, you depend on cars. So we thought that we will solve the intra-city problem, and right now we are working in 50 cities in India with around 16,000 plus buses wherein we live track, and we provide all digital solutions. Bombay recently is one of the edition wherein we are live tracking all 3,500 buses and providing all digital solution, tap in, tap out buses. We acquired 2 more companies, one is Shuttle and another is Vogo, which is two-wheeler company. So our idea of mobility in intracity is to solve the entire integrated model wherein people like you and us do not have to take our personal cars, and we can depend on the public transport, and we can make world better and create more impact on environment and lives. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gaurav. I'm part of the NG Motor team here in India, and we look at mobility in a very simple way. The future would be, in definition, it's called CASE, C-A-S-E. C stands for connected, which would be the car with the chips inside, and also I would say the future, they would also be cool. So connected and cool is for C. A is for autonomous. We already have advanced driver assisted systems in the car, level 1, level 2 and beyond. The S is for shared riding, and right now we have ride sharing, but we'll also be looking at car sharing in the future, so asset gets shared. And the E is for electric for now, but actually the E stands for environment friendly solutions. So today is electric, tomorrow could be hydrogen fuel cells, and maybe they all play together. So we look at future of mobility as CASE, case.
Great, thank you so much. Happy to have you all here today. And to kick off the topic, I would actually love to look into kind of the problem statement in the beginning. And maybe starting, Kunal, with you, as you've been working in the area for so long, have seen so many companies. What do you think are the biggest challenges to mobility in India right now?
So I think all of us here who commute to work, complain about traffic. Honestly, I keep telling everybody that we are in business because people are on the road, so we can't afford to complain about traffic. But I think environment is definitely a problem that needs to be solved. To my earlier point, we've realized that having importing solutions that have worked in Europe and the US, typically in India, may not make sense for various reasons. So whether it's a question of ensuring higher asset utilization, India is always going to be a capital deficient country. We're going to always have a population with low income and therefore low disposable income. So affordability is going to become a very important factor if you want to solve for mobility at scale. Environment problems means that the transition from ICE to EV needs to accelerate even faster. So as a fund, after investing in this space for 7 or 8 years, the initial 4-5 years we were deploying capital and supporting and partnering with companies like Chalo and Rapido to ensure shared mobility solutions at scale. Fortunately, we were able to achieve that objective. But what we've now seen is that how do we make those those systems and solutions even more efficient? Given the current funding environment, the need for profitability is becoming more and more important. So even if we look at shared mobility, revenue may not be fully in our control. That's the customer who has to decide, but costs are. As we all know that right now, majority of shared mobility solutions are being run on ICE vehicles, diesel or petrol vehicles, where 60% of your operating costs is the cost of the fuel. And this is true across all our portfolio companies. So when you sit down and look at it, I think if you're going to try to make these solutions affordable because India needs them, that transition from ICE to EV is going to happen faster and faster, which is why we have other companies here that's working in that way. So if you really want to solve for these problems, ensure that almost 100 million Indians walk to work because they don't even have access to something as simple as bicycles. India as a country, we consider ourselves a relatively poor country compared to the West, but we still sell more motorcycles than we do bicycles. So these are all unique problems that exist in India. So as a fund, we're sort of working and partnering with founders who are trying to solve for these problems and ensuring that everybody has access to mobility solutions for better livelihood.
Thank you. So affordability at scale, I've learned, is one of the major problems, and I think this is actually something that specifically our startups tackle a little bit. Aravind, if I may ask you to go next and kind of try to explain a little bit. I assume you also looked into the challenges before you started Rapido and try to solve them now.
Yeah, I think I would like to echo on what Kunal has mentioned. When we have started, obviously ride sharing is not new in India. Ride sharing is already there. There are players who are solving for maybe the top 5-10 million population in India. But what we realized is this is the convenience what majority of the people also need. I don't think it is just the top 10 million population in India needs that kind of convenience. So, but the challenge is how can you get it at a lot more affordable price? And that's when India being a two-wheeler dominated market, and that's when we said, okay, we'll solve a very similar problem with the customer or with the captains whom we call, who they're already having their own two-wheelers, but they are having the free time and free seat. They can share the ride and then pay, and it will be a lot affordable compared to maybe a four-wheeler. That's how we have started. But what we have also realized is how can this be at scale? It is not about just metropolitan cities. We also realized tier 2 and tier 3 lacks a lot of infrastructure, and if this has to get scale, the solution has to be in that way. So affordability plus profitability is also it's a very difficult problem. How do you solve for it? And then, so to solve that affordability problem, we also, for example, ventured into logistics to make sure that from the consumer point of view, he's not paying for the dull period of the asset or the driver. We can also utilize it for multiple ways. So what we also realized during maybe especially last 7-8 years is the vehicle cost is also going up. The vehicle cost is going up, fuel prices are going up. So how can we make sure that vehicle ownership, till now I would say none of the ride sharing is able to replace vehicle ownership. The vehicle ownership is still growing or almost at the same price, same percentage, even though the ride sharing companies have been building in India. So I think as this become more affordable and the vehicle sharing as a concept becomes maybe mainstream, we believe the actual decongestion and actual scale of transportation for masses with a similar efficiency can happen. So I think this is from our journey of doing almost 500 million rides till now in more than 100 cities in India. Yeah, it is still not solved, but at the same time, unless you make it even more cheaper, it is very difficult to solve, which is providing convenient transportation for masses.
Well, that's very interesting, especially I think the focus also on more rural areas, because when we think about mobility problems, we always think about first about the metro cities, but there's so much more beyond the metro cities as well. Thank you very much. Priya, if I may continue with you, so we kind of saw the first example from the more personal mobility space. You're more in the public transport space. How do you see the largest problems and largest challenges, and how you tackle them?
So, surprisingly, we think that government run buses, but 70% buses are run by private operators in this country. Only 30% buses like Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, these are the cities wherein government is running buses. And when you see about these private operators, they are fragmented and small operators. It's like 4,000 buses in Kolkata and 3,000 operators. So sometimes 2 operators are running 1 bus. So getting them, and they are like 50-year-old business and 100-year-old business. So when you talk to them, when we approach them with new age technology, there is one idea which comes up that you are like very new in business, and this is a very old style, and then there's a crew problem, then there is a cash problem, then there is a collection problem, then there is a pilferage problem, then there is a route problem, scheduling, route planning, mapping, when should you run buses. So these are like, so we have an internal joke about this transportation when we were working with Carwale, that Carwale is bird and Chalo is an elephant. Because the more you get into this solving public transport, more you get complex problems. Second is the government, wherein you know how the structure is being. Though the officers now are very progressive and they look forward to do a lot of technology experimentation, and that's how we are doing in Bombay and implementing everything right from tap-in, tap-out buses to National Common Mobility Card. But the market is very fragmented, and putting them all together is one challenge. Second challenge is that even if people come in the buses, then there is a last mile problem when Vogo comes in picture, wherein people want to take buses. They will take buses, but they are not clean, they are not live tracked, they are not digitized. बस में अभी भी छुट्टा चलता है, एक ही इंडस्ट्री है, तो there is a problem. Then second problem is like integrated solution. So we are trying to solve that okay, if I give you a ticket, then I cover end-to-end journey right from your house to give you a mobile bike to bus, then auto, maybe ferry. So in Kochi, we connect with ferries also, and we give you all route solution. Second problem we see that people don't take public transport is they don't know how crowded their bus is. So we give them live passenger indicator when they can see that how crowded my bus is. So lot of problems. I can talk about it like half an hour will go, and I can keep talking about it. But these are like major things wherein you have to put everybody on the same page. And I little bit differ from the things that people want cheap solutions. I think everybody is looking forward to a better solution, and they are ready to pay, because bus comes cheaper than even two-wheelers and shared auto. It's just 1.5 rupees per kilometer. Just look at the difference. So people love this digital. I have seen not only Bombay, I have seen Indore and Jabalpur cities, which are like small cities, wherein the entire digital transaction and increment has become 40% within three months. So I think people are ready. It's just that how good a solution is and how they depend on you and how can you cater to their needs. So I think the problem, previously we used to solve with sales and operations and marketing. Right now the time is when you should be solving with design, empathy, and knowing that what the major things wherein you can solve 1, 2, 3 items. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So to summarize, you're trying kind of to reduce the entire complexity in this sphere to basically cater for the customer's needs. I think this is an important topic that I took away from that statement. Thank you very much. Punit, coming to you, knowing BluSmart a little bit better, I think there's a kind of a larger vision that you are following up. I would also be very interested in your point of view, again, from the challenges side of things, but also what you think it takes to solve it.
Yeah, so in our terms, me and my co-founder Goyal, we have built energy and infra companies in the past. We built like some solar power plants, we exited. So we knew that this was more of an energy and infra business than a mobility business. We had no idea about mobility, but we're learning now. We've been in the market for 4 years, so we know a little bit of mobility. We see the biggest challenge in EV adoption in India is lack of charging infrastructure, whether it's for buses or for autos or for cars. People are scared to buy EVs because of range anxiety, lack of charging infrastructure. So we thought probably the bigger challenge for us would be to solve the chicken and egg problem. We thought it would be ideal for us to first build large-scale public charging infrastructure. So we spent last 4 years, we've invested very heavily in building large EV super hubs. Today we own and operate 24 EV super hubs with 2,200 EV charging stations, which power the fleet of BluSmart, which is about 3,200 EVs in Delhi-NCR. Now we have 285 EVs in Bangalore. I think going forward to accelerate the EV adoption, it's a big responsibility for private and public companies and also the government to set up large-scale EV charging infra. And I think that will probably lead to faster adoption of electric mobility. A lot of initiatives are being also done by the Delhi government, the Bombay government to now shift to electric buses. I think Chalo is also playing a big part there in running those electric buses. So the big theme I see of this decade, and speak to so many people globally, is electrification of fleets will happen. Public transportation will need to go electric to decarbonize the cities. There's so much of pollution out there. I think we have an exciting future, exciting decade. That's the larger theme I'm seeing.
Great. So also on your side, it's about the complexity with all of the players and aligning them to go into one direction, basically. Great. So obviously we're also very interested in kind of the OEM side of things. Gaurav, if I may ask you, you already in the beginning statement you talked about CASE, kind of technologies as an enabler for the future of mobility, and obviously also I know at least with BluSmart there are a few MG cars already running, but obviously others as well. I would be interested in how you are kind of supporting all of the topics that we just heard about with technologies from your side.
Thanks. Couple of quick points first. Priya mentioned about she's working with companies who feel they are very old and they question Chalo, they say they are you. MG Motor, some of you may or may not know, we are only about 4 years old, but in India. And in this last 4 years, we've engaged with more than 1,200 startups and mentored about 350 startups as well. Why we are here today is because internally one of our key pillars is innovation. And we realize that we cannot innovate everything ourselves, but if we can partner with startups and help them to get their POC, proof of concept, to a purchase order, that is the reason, and that's how we remain young. The second point, what Punit alluded to, was the issue about charging infrastructure. A good number that has come up actually over the last few years, both globally and in India, that 90% of the consumers who are buying electric vehicles, they're able to serve all their requirement needs with just the home charger itself. And the public chargers today on the highways, today if you do Delhi, Amritsar or Bombay, Goa, etc., the public DC chargers are being used less than 4 to 5%. That is a number just to put in perspectives. And Priya, you talk about 1.25 rupees per kilometer for public transport, but we are not looking at the capital cost of the bus. So I'm not pitching electric vehicles here, but an electric vehicle like the ZS, for example, is about 1 rupee per kilometer. But moving to talk about what you just mentioned, one interesting study that has just been done by Nielsen, and we were able to actually partner with them. And it will be a revelation for all of us that it was done for about 5,000 people across 8 cities in the country, including NCR, which is itself multiple towns and cities around it. The numbers are revealing some very interesting statistics. 71% of the time, or 71% of people are only either single or double occupant in the car. So we all want big cars, we want 4 seats and everything else, but 71%. 88% of the people are driving 30 kilometers or less on a daily basis. 30 kilometers or less, that is it. And about 81% of people are carrying at best a backpack or probably a laptop bag like most of you are carrying over here. Just interesting numbers, right? And again, the running cost, people are paying an average of fuel cost, 50% plus people are paying about 6,000 to 7,000 rupees per month. So if you look at these numbers, right, and then you look at what I talked about in the beginning about CASE in terms of future of mobility, which is connected, autonomous, shared, and environment friendly. And if you look at affordability coming in and cool coming in, I think there is a very strong need now to have a smart urban personal mobility solution, which is not going to be driven by choices that people like me made, or let us say the current generation would be making, but the future generation would be making, and questioning even the form and shape of the cars, for example. So size, technology-wise, I would say electric for sure, which is very agile, so it helps in environment, it helps in sound pollution because you're not having a lot of traffic. You are going to be nimble and agile, so you don't cause traffic. Again, sorry, I'm repeating that. And most important is that if you're able to have a good sufficient range, 200 plus kilometers on a daily basis on a single charge, you're good because your average 88% people are doing 30 kilometers at best on a daily basis. So one has to really look at this entire mind shift, and I would look at audiences like what we have over here to really start the change for moving forward. To me, that is where the future of mobility is, that everyone does their bit to look at what is going to be helping the planet, helping their pocket, and also helping their cool quotient factor.
Perfect. Specifically helping the planet, I think strong statement here, and moving full steam into EV. Definitely something that is important for the future. As time unfortunately is running very fast, I would do like one very fast round to kind of ask all of you for what you would wish for if you had kind of some wishes to improve the future of mobility. Maybe again, Kunal, starting with you, maybe a little bit specifics, asking from the perspective of an investor. What would you wish from your startups or from a new startup to really do next to improve the mobility in the future?
I think very quickly in 1 minute, I think what we've seen now is that solving for mobility in a country like India is not going to happen by 1 or 2 startups or 1 or 2 OEMs. I'm really, what we're trying to do is create an ecosystem where we have multiple startups in partnership with OEMs, with energy providers, whether it's renewable, etc., etc. So the synergies and solutions that we will need in India will need the support of government agencies, startups, legacy companies, traditional companies. Financing is going to be important. So the future of mobility is going to be a tight integration of multiple organizations across the ecosystem, both private and public. Only then I think we'll be able to solve for what I keep referring to as affordable green mobility solutions at scale.
Thank you very much. And Aravind, I give the question to you as well. I think for all of our 3 startups, it's a little bit a similar question. What would you wish for from government, from investors, from technology side of things to improve the mobility of the future?
Yeah, I think, we operate in 2 categories, and in general, we are aware of how other categories also function. One of the things that we have seen is the user generally doesn't fit to only one solution. He needs multiple solutions at multiple point of time. So how do you bring this multimodal, how do you bring in multiple use cases, and how can you have a lot more tighter integrations? Because there is a lot of things that we can learn from other categories as well. So I think that is one of the things which is a bit lacking, I would say, which is also both multimodal. That means how can you connect to public transport, to any of these private players, or in general within the private players, how can you cross-learn from each other? Obviously from the government side, I mean, we are one of the category which also faces a lot of challenge from a policy point of view, because we are disrupting the way that people are commuting. There are some of the cases where we need to be ahead than the policies. So how do you make sure that policies come and catch up with the pace at which that we go? So that is one thing from a government point of view. I think from an investors, I think investors have been in this mobility for quite from some time. But the way that new age, right now the mobility companies are solving is very different from how 5 to 6 years back the companies are solving from an capital efficiency point of view and profitability point of view. So I think these are a few things where I think things have changed compared to 5, 6 years back from how people have approached mobility because of more adoption and a bit more awareness about the categories.
Thank you very much. Priya, I guess the multi-modality topic is kind of in line what you think as well. Do you have something to add in terms of wishes that you had?
Just very quickly, I think everything Kunal covered and he covered everything. What I wanted to say, one more point I want to add is it should be tap and go. Because it should be customer facing. We should think that what person wants and it's solved. Because EV comes as very aspirational and we all love EV and we want it, especially in countries like India. But first is to solve the basic. If a bus is not available and you don't know where your bus is, and when you go, you don't know how to deal with untrained crew, how to get a good, clean experience within the bus, how to know when your stop will come, people will not take public transport. So it has to be very, very reliable. And when you get inside, you should have good experience for public transport especially.
Great, thank you. So experience is one topic to add. And then Punit, also you have some additional topics you would like to add. What would you wish for to improve the mobility of the future?
Just like Priya, so we are in the public transportation space, and when we were starting up, we always wanted to ride in a safer, cleaner, more affordable. Like Kunal mentioned, the whole idea was to make public transportation what was missing. There were no clean cars. Public transportation was not really affordable, and we wanted to do that. I think we did that on EVs, and I think EVs have a big role to play going forward. The government of India has done a lot in terms of the FAME incentive. But I think what government can do now is getting inspired from London, which is a city that I look up to, where the government has fantastic policies. They have the ULEZ zone, which is ultra low emission zone. So probably the government of India in very congested or dense cities like Delhi-NCR, Bangalore, Mumbai can also roll out ULEZ kind of concepts where you incentivize people to shift to EVs by putting a carbon tax or charging for driving non-EVs on these cities, because the AQI has substantially gone up in the last 10 years. It's north of 300 in Bombay, Delhi-NCR and Bangalore. So I think that needs to be done. That's a suggestion for the government.
Okay, thank you very much. And Gaurav, we just heard already incentives and schemes for more EV. I assume this is a little bit in line what you think as well?
I would say that the government has done already quite a lot to trigger the ushering era of the new mobility. There's a lot of programs to support manufacturing, services, infrastructure. So at every level there has been a very progressive policy which has been put in place. I think now it depends, and it's up to all the other stakeholders to really step up the game and bring, whether it's more choices, more options, whether it's in the range of public transportation, personal mobility solution, or even technology-enabled marketplace platforms to be able to choose what you want to do. So I think the future has to be this entire, like Kunal also mentioned, bringing together all the players now and give the consumer more and more choices. And definitely, some ideas which are good overseas can be looked at for country as well. But there are very good Indian examples which also can be expanded and should be expanded within the country also. So within interstate, there are some good learnings they have to be put in place as well.
Great, that's a fabulous closing statement, I would guess, because I think especially the topic on kind of the building the networks, building the connections, I think all of us, we kind of agree on that this is a huge part for going forward and improving things. We do have a very red sign, time's up. Do we have time for one or two questions? I would love to take one or two questions if possible. So there's a question in the first row here. I'll just give you mine.
I have just a couple of quick factual questions. One is, to what extent is the EV usage currently being powered by clean energy? Do we have a number around that? How much of the EV vehicle usage is being powered by clean energy versus fossil fuel? Right, that's one. And second is, one of the points I've heard about the EV ecosystem is, unlike the ICE ecosystem, is if you look at the entire industrial value chain, Indian companies, whether it was auto parts, components, dealers, etc., they were making, from what I've been told, 30 to 40% of the value of the car was accruing to Indian players in the ICE ecosystem. I don't know if you have a similar number for the EV ecosystem. How much, given the higher cost of the battery as a percentage of total cost of the EV, how much of the actual value of that total value chain of the EV ecosystem is accruing to Indian players?
Gaurav answered the second part, I'll answer the first part. So India has a one grid, one nation policy, and we have 262 gigawatts of coal-based power generation in India, and 166 gigawatts is renewable power. So I would say in layman language, about 38% of India's power generation is today powered by non-coal-based energy generation. And that number is changing. India is going to add close to about 450 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2032, which means that by 2032, 48% of India's power mix will be coal-based and 52% will be non-coal-based. So that's a good sign. One, I think. I'm saying that we are using the energy from the central grid. India has one grid, one nation policy. So whenever we generate power, ultimately draw from the central grid. One. However, we don't need to wait for so long. There's an opportunity for companies like BluSmart today to genuinely decarbonize mobility. So we'll be shifting at scale. We need scale for that. So I think at about 6,000-7,000 cars, we signed power purchase agreement with a large solar power plant and offtake power directly. For example, in the case of Maharashtra, we are thinking of starting in Bombay, where we have a 500 megawatt solar power plant developer that we're talking to. So we can directly get renewable energy to power electric fleet. So in true sense, you are decarbonizing mobility because you're getting solar energy to power your charging station, in turn power electric cars. Right now we are a zero tailpipe emission company, so we don't emit any emission right now because these are ZEVs. So going forward, I think we don't need to wait for complete energy transition because there's no country in the world which has 100% renewable energy generation. No matter for Germany also has a lot of coal-based power plants, so does Austria. So I think that is a huge opportunity that for mobility companies, large mobility companies, to shift to renewable energy going forward, and this will happen over the next 5-10 years. I'll let Gaurav.
Thanks, Punit. So what you just mentioned is a very classic case of looking at today and then looking at should we do this for the future or not. I think we have to look at where we want to go as a country, and the Prime Minister has clearly set out our carbon net zero goal. To be able to achieve that, whether it is generation of power, consumption of power, all of it has to be efficient and largely driven by the environment factors like renewable also. To give you numbers, you talk about facts. So let's say I can talk about the ZS EV, which is our first internet electric SUV. It has done about 14 crore kilometers in the country. There are customers driving on the roads in India, and they have saved up to 2 crore kilograms of carbon dioxide already. So what happens is, one is generation, but then you also have consumption. So when you have traditional fuels being consumed, you're adding more to the pollution. So that's the first part. The second part is in terms of, are we going to be depending, what is the Indian-ness right now for the electric vehicle movement? I think at any point in time, there's a start. I think policies we've got in place now with the PLIs, production linked incentive programs, we are developing in-house within the country capability, whether it's in advanced cell chemistry, whether it's in automotive components, whether it's in OEMs making electric vehicles, and likewise. So the start is there, and like in any journey, there is a progression in terms of phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and you will see this percentages growing. See, India is the 4th largest automotive market in the world. So to believe that we're going to be depending on outside technology forever is a myth. I think we've got great Indian companies, Indian startups. In fact, this platform itself is to look at new ideas and new startups bringing in technology in the country. So to me, it's a very, very bright future, and the path we all are taking is very, very promising. Thanks.
Let me take just one last question in the front here.
Hello. Thank you so much for the ideas about the EV. Can we have 2 questions then?
Okay, but very, very quickly.
Okay, there you can go.
I think the concept of EV is here for sustainability. I want to ask a question that lithium ion, the mining of lithium ion that's powering all the batteries has a considerable environment impact. It also has a huge impact on the communities. The mining is depriving communities of water. It also has a third impact, which is building. How do we discard those batteries then later on? So the argument today is a lot about while we are saving on the pollution, like how he mentioned, it's also going to create a huge amount of pollution for the future. And what happens to sustainability in that case?
So let me just take this very quickly because I'm short of time. I think the part of generation, I would leave that aside because there will be approaches to generate it, because whenever you're looking at any generation, there's a way you manage it. Recycling, if you see, I must really compliment our homegrown companies in the country, where they are recycling lithium-ion batteries of electric vehicles. Mobile batteries anyway are being recycled, but they are different technology, different chemistry. For example, at NG, we have done India's first electric vehicle lithium-ion battery recycling with our partner, which is Etero, in their factory in Roorkee. And we have inked agreements with 2 or more partners also in the country. We have worked with Tessam in Singapore, we have worked with Umicore also in Europe, but we've actually done the first pilot project in Roorkee itself. And we've seen upwards of 98% plus completely being recycled. So the advantage is that unlike traditional fuels, here you're going to be recovering the material of the current battery and then using it for the new battery once again. So it's a completely circular economy actually, so it's more progressive. Thank you.
Just to add to that, so it's not just a question of recycling the lithium, iron and all the minerals. We've actually got interesting case studies where we're actually looking at a circular economy where the same battery has a first life, second life, third life case as well. So first life batteries typically you'll find in OEM cars like MG. Second life batteries you're going to see in battery swapping businesses like in e-rickshaws. Third life will be in the case of energy banking. The demand and supply, if solar energy is going to be 52%, you're going to have to bank that energy because the majority of demand is at night. So the battery then goes into third life. The fourth life is where we are seeing up to 98% of the raw materials getting recycled. So if you really think about it, the circularity of an EV is fundamentally superior to ICE in many ways.
Thank you very much. Okay, then we just take the one question in the middle here, which we could not do.
Yeah, thank you. So EV as a space is evolving in India, and it's widely accepted in the States, and still again, India, it's a growing economy, and the EV acceptance gradually increases. What is that one, few segments that you would advise, the modern, the entrepreneurs, where you could advise them as in, they can sort of look at in the gaps in the EV space? Like, what are the few gaps you feel that lies in the EV space as of today that we can look to sort of pioneer?
So very quickly, that's right up my street. So as a fund, we have a complete thesis that we're going to see a complete transition away from EV to electrification. That's across the automotive industry, the shared mobility platforms, and logistics. So if you think about it, you have opportunities across components, manufacturing, aftermarket, distribution, financing, insurance, warranty, battery recycling, first life, second life, third life, and use of electric vehicles for all forms of shared mobility, whether it's buses and public transportation, two-wheelers for bike taxis, food deliveries, last mile logistics, 3PL. I could go on and on, but just in 1 minute, I've probably given you at least 50 to 60 potential opportunities in the EV space.
Normally, you would charge you for this idea. So.
Okay, thank you very much. I think now we have to end, otherwise we will be carried off the stage here. So thank you very much for this very interesting discussion. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you so much, Fabian, and all the panelists. We have a small token of appreciation from Delhi for all of you.
I would only say that my recommendation to the TiE organizing team, Upasana is right there, is I will just request all the speakers you normally bring on stage, including myself, I would say, just plant a tree on our behalf, give us the QR code, there'll be money much better spent, in my opinion. Sorry, I'm just taking the liberty of being very frank.